Welcome to FitByFood, where we outsmart binge eating without restriction. In this particular masterclass, I'm going to talk about mind versus body. And this is probably going to be up on the YouTube channel only for free, just to give you a view of what it means to be in the masterclass with me, where I talk about a particular subject. And this one is super important. I would say it's very similar in the importance when it comes to social conditioning that I did, I think like 2 weeks ago. And I would say that this one comes before, like you should watch this one before the social conditioning, because this is what really makes the human suffering, the human condition. And it's the divide between body and mind that we're going to talk about today, but it's also about the birth of consciousness. And this means we're not just working on autopilot, reacting to our instincts, our bodily instincts, but we're questioning our instincts. And this is when the consciousness started to evolve in humanity. We started to question what we felt reactively. So when I say unconsciousness, that means basically working on instinct. So we see something and we feel immediately a response in our body. When we started to get more civilized, when we started to get the more complex ability to socially interact and be in tribes with other people, we started to get more of this cognitive function. We start to analyze and get consciousness where what it what it means by consciousness is basically cause and effect. When I do this, this happens. And as we grow older, as we become adults, we start to get more and more consciousness of how the world works, what kind of thing we can expect when we do that thing. And this way, the mind starts to calculate and analyze. So, this is the birth of the ego, the intellect, the linear thinking that sees something and calculates a possible response. This can be in this energy. If it's too much, it can become very controlling and try to control its environment and everyone around them. And then we have the bodily instinct. It's more like this bodily intelligence and listening to the instincts when it comes to, for example, hunger or fullness. It can be our intuition. It can be just a bodily knowing of something. Like, can I trust this person? Like things you can't really explain, but you just get that feeling, the gut feeling. So we have a divide, the instincts and the ego's intellect. And when we start to go from we feel something and then start to question it, it becomes this distrust. And I talk about this a lot at FitByFood, this divide that happens intellectually, the split, because oftentimes it is these two sides at war with each other. And why it's like this, there's many explanations. We do have historically distrust towards the body's instincts. We feel like it's not very civilized to completely react to our instincts, because then it would be chaos, we think, most times. So we need some sort of control of the instincts. And then we have the religious conditioning, when it's like we have this rule book of how we should behave. We shouldn't be sleeping around with people. We should be prude. We should be like just civil. We should be very not feeling lust towards others, being honest, not selfish, like just these basically rules, the social rules, the social conditioning. I have the masterclass on this, which is a good complement to understand this. So the religious thing that happened for many years has really shaped also the distrust towards the body and our instincts, and to a point where it's such like the body's response, it's so controlled and questioned by the mind that we don't hear it anymore. We don't hear the instincts. When we are too much in our mind, in our linear logical mind of cause and effect, and try to control our environment by worrying about something, we are in the distrust of our, well, the humanity, our surrounding, but also of our own capability. So it's this fearful state that can happen if we are too much in this energy. And then we have the other energy, which is the body responding to its environment. And if there's a distrust between these two, we have even more fear. So what we want to do is to mend the relationship between the two. And that's what we do at FitByFood. We have the intellect with its fearful states, and then we have the body's reaction to our surroundings. If we have a past of a lot of things that happened to us that we haven't really dealt with, the body might be in chronic stress, especially if it's tired or stressed, or if we have a war between these two, like we have the logical mind that just keeps on going, and maybe the body wants to slow down. And if it's trying to slow down in a form that it's saying to you that you should pause and take a bit of time for yourself, or like retract, or like it communicates with you through the sensations, like it's telling you that, okay, we're tired, we don't have energy, and you keep going because the ego is so set on something, like it wants to do this because it will be good for you, for your being, like you have to do this. So it's not listening to the body and meeting it with like compassion, and then it keeps going. So you're just pushing through. The body will show you that it doesn't have the capacity for this, and eventually it will self-sabotage. It will self-sabotage and force you to do things that are not good for you. Maybe it is binge eating, maybe it is doing something that doesn't help you. And this is the war that happens, the war, the distrust between the two. And then when this happens, it just triggers this fearful ego, and it becomes even worse. And then like the war continues. And this can sound very abstract, but having these two divisions, like having these two concepts, helps you understand what happens, like what happens inside, because it's most times we're so confused when it comes to self-sabotage that we don't understand it. And it's because we don't have the language to understand what's happening inside. And that's because the division between the mind and the body is not very natural. It's not supposed to be like this. And if we fast forward a bit, after like the religious trauma of trying to condition our instincts and not listening to the body anymore, on top of that, we also have a very fast modern environment that doesn't prioritize being in the body. We are so much in our mind nowadays. It's very common to be stressed, to be burned out, to have problems with your mental health, because it's not supposed to be so much mind. It's supposed to be more in the body. And the divide that happens, like the mind being so in control all the time, worrying about the future, thinking about the past, and this like fearful energy of survival, this ironically, this energy is because we don't feel safe in the body. And this is why in the holistic health space, it's so much focus nowadays on central nervous system regulation. And that's because the body is in this manic patterning of just like feeling overwhelmed about all of the impressions, because it doesn't trust the ego and the fast-paced environment. The ego is not listening, the mind is not listening to the body, and therefore the distrust becomes wider, wider, and wider. So a good step to do here is to slow down, because the body is not as quick as the mind. The mind can think of 100 things at once, like multitasking and doing things. but the body doesn't catch up to that. So we need to slow down and include the body, register our sensations and feelings, and feel them. So slowing down, a very good step and a very good reminder for me, because this is something that I'm very passionate about. The division between body and mind will forever keep you feeling like you're missing a huge part of yourself, because you are. You're not supposed to be like this, like the mind here and body here. You're supposed to be like this whole being. If the mind is always constantly worrying about something, the focus is here, it's out here, but your body is still here in the physical 3D world. So to get back in line with yourself, body and mind, you need to slow down and get awareness about this. You need to bring your awareness, like we talked about earlier, like cause and effect. You need to bring that back into your reality, into your body, and realize that the distrust that you have towards the body is the distrust. This is the same thing. So listen to this. It's the same thing as being present here and now. Because if you were to not think about something, if you were not to worry about something or think about something in the past and were just here in your body, meaning that the awareness, the consciousness is not out here somewhere like you're thinking or daydreaming or planning for something. You are bringing it here and listening to your body's signals. You're feeling your body. And the feeling of the body, if you're constantly like your mental narrative is somewhere else, you need to bring the focus back down to your body. And this is a constant practice. And this is what we do when we practice meditation. We practice collecting the focus of your mind. And I like to think of it like your mind is like a wild horse. It's like running amok. And what you do in meditation is that you train your mind to be more tame. So slowing down, being in the present moment, and working on this time and time again, because most times our mind is so scattered and so used to multitasking that it will be like there will be a lot of resistance. And this resistance is your ego, your mind, not trusting the moment. It thinks that it needs to worry or think about the past to protect you. So it's this fearful energy again. But what we need to do, the real need for the mind is to calm down to the body, because you can only be safe in the here and now. So you need to have a bit more balance between the two, because sometimes there is a place to prepare for the future, but not that much, not like 100% or 95% of the time. You can do that. You can put aside some time to plan for something and be prepared, because we do have this need for structure also, especially in our society where we have this very linear way of approaching our everyday life. We have a time to start work, to do this, pick up the kids. Like we do have a lot of obligations. So we need that structure from the mind, from the ego, that keeps us in a container where we feel safe. But it's a balance. Like worrying constantly about things that aren't that important doesn't help you. So keeping this, the structure, to very, like, you could put aside, just sit down and like 15 minutes, plan something, plan your day, the next day, go through it mentally, say what you, or plan like mentally with your imagination, what you need to have for the coming day. And when you've done that for 15 minutes, then let it go. You don't constantly need to worry about your obligations. This is an illusion from your worrying, fearful ego that thinks that it needs to worry about let's say you have kids that you need to pick up at 5. If you're worrying about them or trying to like doing something, multitasking, and then you get this fearful thought, I can't forget my kids, I can't forget my kids, and then you're doing something else and thinking about them and get this feeling again, I can't forget them, and then this is draining and you need structure. So in that in that scenario, I would say you need structure. That is what your fearful ego is telling you. Sit down and put like a timer or put like a reminder on your phone, and then let it go. Trust that the timer, the action that you did in that moment, is responsible enough, and you don't need this worrying voice distracting you or sabotaging your other experiences because you're so fearful that you will miss this. The fearfulness is not something that is necessary. It's just telling you that you need more structure. What it would look like if you would to be less in your mind and more in your body. Being in the mind, let's take that as an example first. So that would be worrying or thinking about something from the past all the time. Just like thinking, going through, doing things and multitasking, doing so many things. And then after you're done, you've done everything that you needed to do and you feel good and accomplished. Then when you sit down, you are still like being is in this like energy of I can't really explain it with words, but it's like this like uh just like this high tempo still in your body, and it's very uncomfortable, and that is stress. So if you can't sit with that after you multitasked, and if your only escape is to watch something that hijacks your attention, and then you can relax because you're giving away your mind to something else that's taking it for a ride, like you're watching something and you're just observing whatever the story is about, and then the body is getting a bit of relaxation because it's sitting down maybe in your sofa, but your mind is still constantly like taking interpretations of what you're seeing. You get stimulated and activated. You're not really giving yourself that downtime, that peace for the mind to calm down so that you align mind and body. An alternative would be to limit distractions. So don't put something on TV or scroll on your phone and get a lot of like bombarded with attention. Leave the stimuli away, like put them away and just sit in silence, because most times this is what we need, especially if you have a stressful job and if you have multitasked a lot. This is what you need probably. It of course depends on everyone, but probably this is what we need. So this could mean putting away your phone and just sitting in silence. And if that is triggering for you, if you can't really deal with that anxiety feeling or stressful feeling, then put on some music and just receive the music, or like take a walk without something that you're listening to. Because if you're listening to a podcast, it's very similar to watching a movie. Your mind gets hijacked. And if you can't really still trust that the walk, like it doesn't, you get resistance because the body and mind is so distrustful towards each other, so that you don't want to do that even, then listen to a podcast. It's better than nothing. But work towards this like alignment of body and mind, being in the quiet and giving the body the attention that it needs and wants. Another step to get these two more aligned is trying to start to see when you are doing activities that are occupying your mind and focus, and when you're doing things that is actually connecting you to the body's mechanism or communication mechanism. So that could be that you do activities that, for example, yoga, you put your awareness onto the body and that strengthens the communication system. It could be that you start to dance, but do it in a way that you get like contact with your your body parts. Take a walk, a conscious walk, sit in silence and just like listen into your feelings. Stretch a bit could be something that you do, work out. there's a lot of activities that we can do that is more like focused on the body. So this separation between understanding the body and mind, the mind being the logical, thinking about the future, cause and effect kind of way of operating. And then body being the instincts, the direct communication system from your environment to yourself. And learning or realizing that the distrust here creates a separation. And you do this every time that you feel hunger, and you try to restrict it. Every time you feel fullness and you want more. So like this distrust, this distrust is telling you that you're out of balance. And it might be a rocky road to get back into that trust, the alignment between the mind and body, but it is a journey that you can set out to and have as a goal that you want to become more trustful towards your body. Especially if you have problems or like eating disorder, emotional eating. I classify that as an eating disorder. Everything that is not like you're trusting that your hunger is telling you that your body needs fuel, and then you eat until it's telling you to stop. If you don't have that healthy relationship with your communication, internal communication system, then you have a troublesome relationship to food. And that means that it will take a while for your body to trust your mind again. And that is not your fault at all. It comes from a history of religious like upbringing and like distrust towards the feminine from the masculine. Like there's thousands of years of this being passed forward from our ancestors. So it's not like you're not responsible for this. You're just mimicking and doing mirror neurons. You're just copying what your parents did, and then you're carrying it forward. But you can have the consciousness now, the cause and effect, and realize what is happening and take back your power and realize that you need to get more aligned between mind and body. This is module 2 at FitByFood is everything about mind and body connection and habits, both with your thoughts and and your body. And module 3 is more like this. We go into your inner world. So this was a bit shorter than normal ones, but I think I don't want to talk too much about this since it is module 2 territory. So, and if you are curious about this, I have the FitByFood manual on the website, which is a book where I talk about this. Thank you for watching. I really invite you to reflect a bit on how much you are in your mind and how much you are in your body, and subscribe for more content like this. And remember, it is possible to get fit by food.